Okay, so good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining me today. We'll just begin to settle into your seat. Hi, Linda. Start to find your breath. And as you go inside, I want you to think of the thought of what is coming from a place of my highest good. What does that mean to me? Coming from a place of my highest good. I'd like you to just breathe gently and let that question kind of marinate. Maybe feel through your body. Where is your highest good located? What kind of energy surrounds the essence of your highest good? What qualities does that energy possess? Is it peaceful? Is it fierce? Is it kind? So our highest good presents itself in so many different forms. There's the aspect of us that's like Kali, the fierce goddess warrior that will fight to the death, right, to protect us. And there's a form of highest good in that, right? And then there's the Buddha, full of pure love and gentleness, and there's a highest good in that. And we're a mix of all of that. I love to kind of poke around and study different philosophies, and something I came across was the philosophy of Stoicism, right? So when we hear the word Stoic, we think of, or at least I think of, emotionless, kind of like, stone. But really what Stoicism, the philosophy of Stoicism is, it's a belief that we don't control the world around us. All that we do control is our response to that. So it's a way of moving through the world with our emotions, but not being guided by our emotions. Being guided from that place inside of us, that virtuous place of our foundation. And so Stoics base their philosophy on 4 virtues. The virtues are wisdom, justice, temperance, and justice. Wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. And they define wisdom as knowing what's mine and what's not. What it is that I can control and change, and what's not mine to play around with, what's something that I have no control over. And I think I talked about it a little bit last week. And hi, Ellen. And, all of our philosophies talk about this, that the 12 steps in recovery, the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, other people, other situations, anything outside of myself. Right? The courage to change the things I can, my thoughts, my actions, my reactions, my words, the way I respond, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's the wisdom that the Stoics talk about. There is a little quote that I want to read by a Stoic philosopher, Epictetus. He says, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters that I can clearly say to myself are externals that are not under my control and which have nothing to do with the choices I actually control. And then I ask myself, where do I look for good and evil? Not to the uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. So he's saying that, and Cheryl's been talking about this a lot, when we see evil, when we see unrest outside of ourselves, we go inside and we find that energy inside of ourselves, and we identify where that same energy rises up from us, or in some cases where we push that energy down and we don't look at it. And we start to move that energy. And when we start to move it within inside of ourselves, then it starts to transform what happens on the outside. So the more that we take care of the inner business, things we can control, the more that the world that we see outside of ourselves changes. And then there's courage. And the courage that's talked about in Stoicism is the courage to stand on your own principles no matter what, the courage to speak your voice no matter the consequences, no matter what somebody else is going to think, or fear that people aren't going to like us, or even in those times when we have our principles, we have our values, and we watch everybody else around us not honoring their own values and principles and gaining material wealth and other things by doing that, but still standing in our own principles and not doing those things, regardless of whether or not everybody else is doing them. So, really being able to bring ourselves to this place of personal responsibility, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. And the idea of temperance, the third virtue, is that middle ground. It's not deficiency and it's not excess. It's that middle place. It's not relying on fleeting pleasures to say that my life is really good. And it's not allowing fleeing pain and fleeing suffering to define my life as bad. It's always being in that middle ground where I'm observing my life, I'm observing the world through the eyes of having what's essential, of taking in what's essential, of doing what's essential. And they talk about our time and how there's so much busyness around us. And when we create this space by letting go of busyness, by asking ourselves, is this necessary? Do I really need to do what I'm about to do? Or can I take some time and create some space to sit with myself, to dive inside, to visit that divinity inside of me, and to get to know that place of temperance, that place of contentment, that knowing that what I have is always enough, and that when I get more, I enjoy it, but I don't grasp it. And when it seems like there's lack in my life, to notice the feeling, but to not attach to that. It's the same thing as the principle in our sutras of attachment and aversion, right? Temperance is that middle ground between attachment and aversion, grasping and pushing away. And then the last thing they talk about is fairness, justice, and it's actions that serve the common good. So it's not just fairness to ourselves. It's, yes, starting from that place of wanting to be fair and receive what we need and what we deserve, but then taking it a little bit further and asking, does this serve the common good? Does it just serve me? Does it just serve my family? Or does it serve the common good? And always trying to move toward service of the common good, because whatever serves the common good serves each individual. There's another quote that I had found by actually a Roman emperor who was part of this Stoic movement. And he said, what injures the hive injures the bee. So if something is not good for my community, then regardless of whether or not I feel like it's so good for me, I need to take another look, because maybe ultimately it won't be. So really embracing that we are interconnected, that we have this interdependence, and that just because something doesn't affect us directly doesn't mean that we shouldn't take other people's situations into consideration. Just kind of batting that around in your mind and thinking about how you can apply those 4 Stoic virtues in your own life. How they can really come together to help you define or help you connect with your highest good. And you may find that, more often than not, you do. If you're on this path, chances are that you've really connected with a lot of this energy already. Take a few more breaths. And then see if you can sense where in your body your highest good resides, that energy. Do you hold it in your heart? Do you hold it in your power center? Maybe it's in your sacral center, the place of your creativity and your emotion. Where do you feel in your body that energy of the highest good emanates? And place your hands there. And just sit with it for a moment. And allow the energy to move through you, dissolving all barriers of emotion, all barriers of flesh. See if you can connect to the energy around you, your community, the world. See if you can get a sense of just how big, just how infinite, just how never-ending that love in your heart truly is. Allow yourself to fill with that energy as we move through our practice today. Bringing your palms together at your heart center. We'll open with Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. If you're familiar with the chant, please join with your voice, and if not, with your ears. 3 times, a deep inhale. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Pause as you allow the energy to settle and expand. And then moving into our next chant, Ad Gare Name. We do it as a celestial communication chant. So Ad Gare Name, hands at the heart. Jagad Gare Name, hands at the third eye. Sat Gare Name, opening up. And then Siddhi Guru Deve Name, palms together. And all that beautiful energy back to your own heart. 3 times. Eyes closed. Face soft. Body relaxed. Ad Gure Name Jugad Gure Name Sad Gure Name Siddhi Guru Deve Name Ad Gure Name Jugad Gure Name Sad Gure Name Siddhi Guru Deve Name Ad Gure Name Jugad Gure Name Sad Gure Name Siddhi Guru Deve Name. Pause and feel. Allowing that energy to settle, to move through every cell. Feel its vibration, clearing and cleansing. Making space for that highest good to rise up. Okay, take a nice deep inhale. Holding that breath in, you're going to bring your hands overhead in prayer. Squeeze the pelvic floor, the navel center. Hold that breath in, really reach up, up, up. And then as you exhale, slowly drawing your arms wide, your hands through your own auric field. Really appreciating the energy of you. Cultivating an awareness of how essential you are to the whole. Right? Every bee has its place in the colony. As your fingers touch the earth, appreciation for that energy that's always elevating us higher, holding us steady. And opening your eyes, you're going to bring your palms to your knees. I'm going to begin to do a simple square breath. Square breathing is a beautiful way if you're feeling a little bit ungrounded or a little bit of emotion or uneven energy coming up. A simple square breath is a beautiful way to bring yourself back into equanimity, into its place of balance. You're going to just inhale through your nose with your eyes closed for a count of 4. Hold the breath in for a count of 4. Exhale through the nose for a count of 4. And then hold the breath out for a count of 4. And then begin again and keep going at your own pace. Letting your inner eyes connect to your breath, connect to the count. Bring your full attention to that breath. As we really connect to the idea of living from a place of highest good, of connecting to a path that really speaks our truth into this world, we begin to get more and more connected to the present, to what's in front of us. We begin to nurture that relationship with the things that we have, the people that are in our lives, ourselves, right? Even our pets. I love, love, love my grandpuppy. And, there are times that I know she craves to play. And so I'll, be outside watering the garden and picking things up and doing things. And then I'll just toss the ball to her here and there. And that's very different than actually connecting with her and playing a game of catch with her and really allowing that interconnection between us to develop, right? I could do a lot of things in this world, I'm realizing, without giving them my full attention. So half measures, half benefits. Sometimes I feel like a stranger to myself. It's because I don't spend the time to really get to know what my deepest longings are. To really connect to that inner guidance that always, always, always leads me in the right direction. Sometimes my mind doesn't comprehend where I'm being led is the right direction. Sometimes it's scary, or it makes no sense, or it's not what I want to do. But time and time again, when I move into that place, really listening, that interdependence between myself and universal guidance, I end up in places that just blow my mind. Right? It's all about that temperance. It's about recognizing when I'm living in one end of the stick or the other, trying to grasp onto something or trying to make something happen, whether I'm really in that place of balance and equanimity. After your next count of 4 with the breath out on the exhale, just bring your palms to your heart center, flat on your chest, close your eyes, and just breathe a natural breath. And then with your hands, your palms still there, begin to do torso circles, rotating around your hips. Nice deep torso circles, moving really, really, really far forward and leaning really, really far back. Trusting that center of gravity, your heart, your navel center, trusting it all to lead you, to hold you, to propel you. in the perfect way. Move in one direction and then the other. The interesting thing about Stoicism is that it, like all the other paths, doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, what you've done in this life. It's for you. Come to stillness. And then let your hands come to the mat. Walk forward onto all fours, coming into tabletop. And once you get there, do some more hip circles. Again, really moving deeply, deeply back. And then forward, maybe letting your hands move forward a little bit to give you more space. So Stoicism is based upon writings and contemplations of ancient philosophers. And these philosophers included the private diaries of a Roman emperor, personal letters of a Roman playwright, and the lectures of a former slave and an exile turned into an influential teacher. Right? So these ideas, these thoughts, these beliefs, these truths, they permeate every walk of life, and they begin to untie, loosen those knots that make us believe that there are different classes of people, that any of us are any different than the other. It begins to really bring us into an awareness that humanity is humanity. Come to stillness, and then curl your toes. Press your hips up to the sky, make your way into downward facing dog. Take a really nice stretch in downward facing dog. And then slowly begin to walk your feet towards your hands. And finding yourself in forward fold Uttanasana. Letting everything go. If you want, you can grasp opposite elbows here. And begin to rock from side to side. Joanne, we're in standing forward fold, sorry. Yep. And then letting your arms go back down toward the floor. Bend your knees a lot. Inhale your arms forward and up. And bring yourself all the way up to rise, reaching up to the sky, straightening your legs. Interlacing your fingers, pressing your palms up to the sky. From here, just begin to bend from side to side, letting your right elbow move to the right, and then back up to center and to the left. Stretching out your side body. So Stoicism is living from a place of contentment, that place of santosha that we talk about in the Yoga Sutras, that place where everything is nice and even. We don't need those high highs to feel good. And we don't have to crash down to those low lows. The ecstasy, the bliss, it comes from within. It doesn't come from outside circumstances. We can wrap our minds around that, when we can look around at what we have right now, with who we're with right now, the circumstances of the world right now, and find the gratitude, find the highest good in what's happening around us, and connect to that with gratitude, then wow, the world looks very different. Come to stillness. Inhale your arms all the way up, stretch your fingers, and then let your hands come down to your sides. Begin to twist your body from side to side, letting your hands just kind of flop to your lower abdomen and your kidneys. Feeling the aliveness as your cells begin to respond to the movement. Notice what's going on underneath your skin. So when thinking about the idea of temperance, of living in that middle ground, it's the idea of doing less better, right? We spread ourselves so thin and we do so much. So what if we let go of anything that wasn't essential? What if we spent 1 week asking ourselves, everything that we did, asking ourselves, is this necessary? And if it wasn't absolutely necessary, not doing it. And instead tending to what was really necessary. What if we did everything that we did better because we were doing less? I mean, really, how many times in 2 months do I have to clean out the cabinets in my kitchen? Really, how many times? You want an answer to that? This the last couple months, 3. Silliness, right? Busyness. Come to stillness. Let your body settle. Inhale your arms up, and then begin to sit back as if you were going to sit in a chair, coming into chair pose. Just stay here for a moment, really noticing how you're holding yourself, where there's tension. See if you can relax tension. See if you can let your arms reach up to the sky, and your pelvis reach down to the floor, and feel that space and that lightness. And then from here, put your hands on your thighs and begin to cat-cow a bit, moving that heart forward and then arching back, moving and arching. And then continuing that movement, bring your arms forward as you arch forward, and then bring them down as you round. Moving up and moving down, letting your arms reach and come down. Yeah, beautiful. The next time that your arms swing up, let them bring you all the way up to a stand. Arms out to a T. Begin to bring your right hand to your left knee, your left arm up to the sky. Yep, and then come back up to a T. Left hand down to the right knee, right arm up to the sky. And continue moving that way. Like a windmill. Bringing the breath. And the next time that you come upright, stay. And begin to take your right hand, bring it to your left shoulder as your left arm twists behind you, your whole body twisting over to the left, coming back to center and moving to the other side. Really reaching back as if you were pressing that arm all the way back to the wall behind you. Nice little dance, dancing with yourself. So our wealth, think about this, our wealth is not based on what we have. Our wealth is based upon how we feel about what we have. I know so many people that in the financial sense have so much and they're so afraid of losing it that they don't enjoy it, that they're always stressed. And I know people who have nothing financially that live from week to week and don't always know what that's going to look like. And they have so much joy in their lives. Right? So our wealth is not measured by our bank account or our possessions. How do we relate to what's in front of us? Come back to center. We're going to do a little bit of balance here. We're going to do some cloud salutations. So what you're going to do is bring your hands to your heart center. Take a look at your feet. Make sure they're parallel to each other, about hips distance apart. You're going to inhale your prayer up to the sky. And then as you bring it back down toward your heart, you're going to begin to raise your right knee, moving it toward your elbows. And then keep that knee raised as you bring your arms wide out to the side. And as your arms come back up again, your foot begins to make its way toward the mat. And as your fingertips touch overhead, your foot touches the mat. And then bring that prayer back down, this time your opposite knee coming up. And then the arms come wide and up. And your toes touch the mat as your fingertips touch back overhead. And just keep going, alternating from side to side. Cloud salutations. Right? The clouds are so powerful. They have so much to offer us. And that was another thing that the Stoic philosophers said, that we can learn so much about the interdependence and the cooperation and the caring of community by looking at nature. Right? Nature is so good at interdependence. So Pat, you're bringing your hands up overhead. And then as you bring your elbows down, your knee is going to come up toward your elbows. And then your arms come out wide, your foot touches the mat. And as they meet overhead and you bring that prayer back down, the opposite knee comes up. Yep. And then arms come out wide and back down, and just keep going that way. You got it. Right? If we look at nature and we see how nature cooperates, right? A few more rounds. There's so many things in nature. They come here for a very short span of time. They do what they need to do. They pollinate, and then they die. They give birth, and then they die. They come here and they do what they are supposed to do, and they don't grasp at more. They just let things be what they are. If we can see ourselves as part of that cycle, we come here to love, we come here to support each other. We come here to do our part. And if we can focus on that and just do that and allow everything else around us to do their part, then there's this amazing balance that happens. The next time that your feet are both on the mat simultaneously, leave them there, bring your hands to your heart, and just pause and feel. Right? The clouds, the way they move through the sky, they change shape depending on the wind around them. They really are at the mercy of the wind. And so they trust and they move and they shape shift. And they give so much joy and delight. We look up and we see flowers and faces in the clouds. They give us so much information. They turn dark and we look for rain. They shade us from the sun for a moment. And then they give her permission to shine so brightly through them. So much brilliance around us. We're part of that brilliance. Take a nice, long, deep breath here. And then as you exhale, let your arms come wide out. Up, around, meeting overhead. Bring that prayer right through the midline of your body, all the way down to the mat. Dive all the way down. And then inhale your arms out wide. And come back up like angel wings. And just keep going. Moving through the midline. And then bringing those arms up, around through your own energy. A few more rounds. So another quote from Epictetus, he says that seeing the very best in ourselves means actively caring for the welfare of other human beings. So when we can find that highest place in ourselves, then we automatically know what it means to actively work toward the common good, to be just. The next time that you find yourself diving down to the floor, plant your hands, bend your knees a little bit, wiggle your butt a few times, and then step one foot back and then the other. Letting your knees lightly come to the mat, Knees nice and wide, big toes together, melting back into child's pose. So where do we start when we feel like we're afraid, or we feel like everything that's going on around us, outside of us, is so scary? How do we start to move into a place of justice and fairness? Another quote by a philosopher named Rufus: to honor equality, to want to do good, and for a person being human to simply not want to harm others is the most honorable lesson. And this is what makes just people out of those who learn it. So just the desire, the attention, the focus on wanting to do no harm, on believing in equality, and on doing our best to show up in the world as that in our own day-to-day life. That's how we step into it and move away from all of the fear. Simple, not always easy. Bring yourself up to all fours. And begin to cat-cow. Here's a little spinal flex. Being aware of every vertebrae as it moves with your breath. Like a string of pearls just moving. Flexible spine, flexible mind. And coming to center, lift your right foot up behind you. Cross it over your left and bring the toes to the left side of your mat. And peek over your left shoulder. Bringing your head back to center. Begin to shift your weight into your left hand and spin up that back foot. Raise the right arm up to the sky, opening your heart. And then come back down. Inhale that right foot all the way back up. And then bring it back in. Move to the other side. Left foot coming up. Crossing over. Taking a peek over your right shoulder. And bringing your head back to center. Shifting your weight to that left side. Bringing everything up. Balance, openness, breath. Don't let your head hang. Remembering that your neck is part of your spine, keeping everything in alignment. And then slowly lowering back down. Foot floats up, and then knee comes back to meet the other. And from here, bring your right arm out to the right, float it all the way up, and then thread it right through the left, bringing your shoulder, your head to the mat. And that left hand can either come up to the top of the mat, onto your sacrum, up in the air, whatever serves you today. A few breaths here. And then slowly making your way back up. Do a couple of cat-cows before we move to the other side. Moving your spine, moving your breath. Coming to stillness, inhaling the left arm out to the side, threading it through, and finding your place of ease and grace in this pose. deep breaths. Wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Where can we weave those things consciously into our day-to-day? Come on, back up. Make your way to a seat. We're going to do a short meditation. So you're going to bring your arms up like this. And then you're going to bring your elbows so they rest against your ribs. Your ring and your pointer finger are going to face up. Your middle and your pointer finger, your ring and your pinky are going to be held down by your thumb. You're going to put a big smile on your face, right? So it's the peace sign fingers, but they're going to be touching each other. Big smile on your face, eyes closed, smiling Buddha Kriya. Embracing the energy of the Buddha, the joy. He saw life through the eyes of pure love. So let your love rise up. Put that big smile on your face. Let your eyes begin to focus up at your third eye. And in your mind, you're going to meditate on the sounds sa, ta, na, ma. You're going to say them again and again to yourself, nice and slow. Sa, ta, na, ma. Feeling every syllable as you say it vibrating. Life through your body, love through your body. And those fingers like antennas, sending signals of love out to the world. Keeping that smile on your face, that smile is so important. Stay conscious, connected to that smile, feeling the vibration of every syllable of that chant, connecting to the energy of eternal life. Your highest good is the energy of you that never dies. That always sends love and light, peace and justice, wisdom through this world. Don't lose the chant, Satanama. Don't lose the eye gaze, lovingly gazing at your third eye, the gateway to seeing this world through the eyes of truth. Your intuitive nature. After your next round of Satanama, keep your arms where they are, but Open all of your fingers and just begin to squeeze your fingers open and closed, keeping that smile really big. And inhale your arms up to the sky. Squeeze the pelvic floor, the navel center, everything up, up, up. Palms together as you exhale, hands to your heart. Just pause and feel here. And keeping your eyes closed, letting your hands move to your knees. In your mind's eye, see if you can imagine yourself sitting in the middle of a beautiful field. Right at the break of dawn, this morning sky still dark. Brilliant colors beginning to gel at the horizon. Feeling the warm air on your skin. Noticing any sounds around you, really using your senses to bring yourself into this place. And as you gaze up at the dark morning sky, noticing one last star lingering. As you focus on that star, noticing that it gets brighter and brighter. And as it does, a beam of light begins to move from that star, moving slowly and gently toward you, connecting so deeply with your heart center. For a moment, just pause and feel your connection with that morning star. Beautiful, powerful energy. And imagine that connection forming a bridge, a small walkway. Picture yourself rising out of your body and walking slowly up that bridge, moving up toward the sky. With each step, getting lighter and lighter, feeling more and more like your highest self, your lightest self. Feeling the energy of boundaries, the boundaries of the skin and the mind and the beliefs beginning to melt away. As you feel the bigness of yourself, of your heart, of your truth, begin to move through the ethers around you, feeling yourself as pure white light. Begin to say to yourself with each step, I am beautiful. I am light. I am beautiful. I am light. And with each declaration of this, feel yourself getting lighter and lighter, more and more aware of the subtle nature of you. Feel yourself blending with that star in the sky, realizing that the energy of love that permeates everything is who you are and what you bring to this world. Feel the power of that as everything unlike that begins to move away. I am light. I am beautiful. I am light. I am beautiful. Let yourself rest in that energy for a moment. Take a very, very deep breath in. Breathing that energy into every pore, every cell. Hold that breath until you can't hold it anymore. And when you're ready to let that breath out, make it a nice, gentle exhale. Complete, complete, complete. And then take another deep inhale of that amazing energy. One more time, let it fill you so completely. Let it remind you of who you are. I am beautiful. I am light. I am beautiful. I am light. As you let the breath go, acknowledge that you are pure energy, you are pure light, you are pure good. And then slowly begin to walk back down that bridge, feeling the sense of boundlessness, of infinite energy moving through you. I am beautiful, I am light. And as you settle back into your body, sitting in that field, and the vision of that bridge begins to dissolve, notice that the energy of it, the connection to everything around you remains as you settle back into your physical body. Take a deep breath in here. As you exhale, move through a few spinal flexes, bringing that heart forward, rounding back. And then as you come to stillness, make your way to your back, moving slowly and mindfully. As you get to your back, you're going to bring your knees into your chest. Place one hand on each knee and begin to circle your knees away from each other and then toward each other. And then bring the soles of your feet together and let your feet rest on the mat. Supine Baddha Konasana. Letting your hips relax open as the soles of your feet meet, your knees wide on the mat. And then keeping your soles together, begin to lift your feet up, bringing it up into the air. And then reach for your feet, specifically for your insteps. Begin to move your feet apart, bringing your knees towards your armpits, moving into happy baby pose. Rock from side to side here if you would like. And then releasing your feet, bringing your knees into your chest, arms out to a T. Place your feet on the mat for a moment. Lift and shift your hips over to the right. And then let both knees fall to the left, me into a spinal twist. Breathe deeply here. Living from a place of your highest good, wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Controlling our responses to the world, not trying to control the world around us. Come back to center. Plant those feet, lift and shift to the other side. Let your feet, your knees twist over. The shoulders glued to the mat. A sense of opening, releasing, creating space. Living your life from that place of balance, that place of temperance. Enjoying the fleeting pleasures. Embracing the fleeting grief and pain. Letting it all move through you like a screen door. Rattling you a little bit. bathing you in sunshine, and then moving on, back to center. And take any final stretches or twists before relaxing deeply into Shavasana. Maybe bringing that mantra with you, I am beautiful, I am light. Maybe adding to it, all is beautiful, all is light. Hi, Eileen. I kept looking for goodness. I kept asking everyone where I could find good in the world. It was not until I looked within and grew my own goodness that I began to see it everywhere. Slowly begin to deepen your breath, bringing movement to your fingers and your toes, circling your wrists, letting your head move from side to side, ever so gently. Bringing the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet together, creating that heat, that friction, that aliveness. And then maybe easing your palms onto your cheeks, your fingers over your eyes, basking in your own goodness for a moment. And bringing your knees into your chest, either rocking up and down on your spine or from side to side. And then bringing yourself up to a seat. We'll meet palms together. eyes closed. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Please join me in sealing our practice together with a long Sat Nam. Deep, deep inhale. Sa Nam. Sliding your thumbs to the space between your brow, dropping your chin into your own pure goodness. Be love, believe, be true to you. Sat Nam, everybody.